Rogue Invitational as we are getting closer to crowning champions of the CrossFit competition at Dell Diamond Stadium in Round Rock, Texas. Thanks so much for being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with former Affiliate Cup champion Adrian Conway, and Kiki Dixon is down on the field. Event number 8, it's a Big Cat presented by Tier, and the theme of today is going to be flexibility in dealing with changes, and we've had some changes to this event as well.
Yeah, we have. We've had to call some audibles. The event that we're looking at for Big Cat, as it stands, is going to be 5 rounds of 6 box jumps at 36 inches for these women. Then they're going to handstand walk, and it must be unbroken for 50 feet. They're going to run to a dummy at the base of the hill, then return all the way back and move the marker each round that is out in front of their box that they're going to be jumping onto to let us know what round they're in.
First of 2 heats for the women. Danielle Brandon taking the floor. She's going to be in lane number 7, and anytime you add a handstand walk to anything, she's going to be an athlete to watch.
There's no doubt about it, Sean. She historically is the best athlete inverted in our sport to date, so I expect her to be able to make some moves there. 5 rounds, 50 feet unbroken. She's going to attack it confidently, and I think it'll play out very well for her at the end of this event.
Danielle Brandon coming into this event in 12th place overall. Finished 8th in the prior event. She has 355 points. She's only 20 points out of a spot inside the top 10.
Add in, she's also got that track and field background at Sacramento State, as we mentioned yesterday, going into that sprint event. And I think these plyometrics, these box jumps, should be something that she does very well also.
What are the keys of this event?
Well, I'll tell you, the keys to having success here is going to be that accuracy matters. That box jump is a bit of an unfamiliar height. Athletes have to tuck their knees up and land there softly. And then when we think about the accuracy of the handstand walk, it's got to be unbroken, so there's a little bit of internal pressure there, knowing that you're doing it on grass, and it's a little bit slick. And then, of course, on those jumps, jump and tuck, your ability to spend as little time on the floor as possible is going to allow you to have great success in this event. And if you got to stand around and wait for your legs to re-energize completely, it's going to take too long.
There's Emily Rolfe coming off a 6th place finish earlier today in Hulk Hands. Saw her win, I should say, the first heat.
Emily being one of the taller athletes in the field. Also, this movement here with the 36-inch box jumps could be a highlight for her.
Here we go.
The athletes are not going to be allowed to touch the box with their hands on the way up, but they are able to touch their hands to the box on the way down.
36 inches, it's a little less than a meter for these women. They'll do 6 reps, and then the handstand walk unbroken, 50 feet. There's 2 lines out there that they have to traverse. If they kick down, they have to go back to the beginning. And no shock, Danielle Brandon is out front early.
Yeah, and she was just in straight-up attack mode, to be honest, right out of the gate, and all blue as she's already run into that dummy to run around it. She was very aggressive on the box jumps, but what's most important is that she was accurate. There were no slips, there were no falls. She didn't hesitate, and if she can have clean runs like that, she's going to continue to lead the pack here.
Elena Karatala-Sanahuya is through. Flores is through. They're going to make them handstand walk every time they get back to that line.
And that's really going to accumulate through 5 rounds. These athletes are going to walk more than a football field. 50 feet out, 50 feet back, that's 100 feet every round for 5 rounds. It's going to really continue to accumulate in the upper body here. This lends even more of an advantage to an athlete like Danielle Brandon.
They have to move their chest piece, as you said, Adrian, every round. Now we are into round 2 for the leaders. Danielle Brandon going through her 6 reps. So she is done. There's 10 reps per round, 5 rounds here, 9-minute time cap. 50 scored reps total.
Now the standard is for the handstand walk, folks, that the athletes don't have to start with their hands behind the line. It's important to understand this. Their feet have to come to the line, and then their hands need to start on the other side of the line anywhere. So when you think about athletes kicking up, it's advantageous for them to almost lunge into that first handstand walk with the hands making contact to the ground to minimize the distance that they actually have to go.
Brandon has made the turn, and now she's back to her 50-foot handstand walk to close out her second of 5 rounds.
Danielle already creating a really comfortable cushion against the other women in this particular heat, but that's not what it's about for her. She wants to capitalize as many points as she can, Sean, especially on a day like today, the final day of competition. What you want to do is try to find yourself in the top 10 going into the final event so that you get to rub shoulders and be right there with the top athletes going into the final.
Danielle Brandon continues to lead. Ariel Lowen is behind her, followed by Paige Powers. Now 6 more box jumps, 36 inches. See Powers running by. Paige Powers, 16th place overall. She drags her chess piece to the next round. Lowen there as well. Ariel Lowen, 9th place right now, so cracking the top 10 after a 10th place finish in the prior event.
Danielle switching up her strategy a little bit. Her legs were static. She broke at the knee the entire time, but now she's letting her heels be a bit active. You wonder, does that help her carry forward with more momentum and some of this handstand walking, potentially reduce the time under tension there?
Danielle Brandon starting to open up a lead here. Lowen and Powers behind her, and Shelby Neal, another athlete to watch. Although Shelby Neal is one of the shorter athletes in the field, so these box jumps are going to take Shelby Neal a little bit of time, as Danielle Brandon is now done with her handstand walk. There is Shelby Neal.
And you can see her jumps are just a little bit more labored. Of course, being a shorter athlete, her hip height is much lower than that 36 inches at the base of the box. So she's literally got to go through more vertical displacement. She's got to jump higher inch for inch than the taller athletes in the field.
There's Ariel Lowen, who currently sits in 2nd place in this heat behind Danielle Brandon, but Brandon is already on to her 4th round of box jumps here. Here comes Ariel Lowen. And now Paige Powers on the right side of your screen, who's in 3rd place in this heat. 3 women into round 4. Brandon was first, Lowen was second, Powers was third.
This is one of those events, Sean, that's a bit of an outlier. There's no loading whatsoever. We see the box jump. We categorize that as a bit of a gymnastics movement, moving our body through space. And then, of course, the handstand walk is something we know a bit more about, but it's important for these women to really do their very best any moment they can, because you never know what's going to happen. Even in the next heat, this is not a guarantee.
Paige Semenza has been able to break these up, so it doesn't look like they're making them go unbroken, as evidenced by what we're seeing right now. It doesn't matter for Danielle Brandon because she is just way out in front. She'll be entering her 5th and final round. Danielle Brandon, best finish was a 5th in the duel yesterday. Trying to work her way into the top 10 with 1 event remaining.
Yeah, and she's really going for 100 points here on this one, Sean. She's trying to capitalize as much as she can. And it's certainly an event. If she was being pushed by another athlete, I bet she could even go faster, but she's staying with as much urgency as possible as we watch Ariel Lowen and Paige Powers they're starting to go rep for rep here.
Paige Powers is creeping up on Lowen. The 2 of them moving the chess piece for the final time as Danielle Brandon is done with her box jumps and is way out in front here. 9-minute time cap in this event. 50 total scored repetitions, so Danielle Brandon is just about done. She'll go out and around, 1 more handstand walk, and then across the finish line. She looks to win the heat here.
It just looks like it's like how easy I walk on my legs. It looks like it costs her no energy, no focus, just upside down for a while. Oh, you want me to stop there? Cool, got it. No
Brandon is through, and Danielle Brandon will come across the finish line and win heat number 1 with a blistering time. 6:52.39 seconds for Danielle Brandon. And now the battle for second is between Paige Powers and Ariel Lowen. Powers has taken the lead from Lowen as Powers is to her final handstand walk first. Here comes Ariel Lowen. Powers is down, and now the sprint to the finish. So Paige Powers with a great effort late to overtake Ariel Lowen, and Powers is going to take second in the heat. Now Lowen is done. 7:28.65 seconds for Powers. And Lowen is across with less than 90 seconds to go before we hit the time cap.
And I'll tell you, Sean, that's great to see from Paige Powers. It's kind of something, you know, I've been waiting to see from her through the course of this weekend. I want to see her step up and seize the moment against going head-to-head with a veteran and such a fit woman as Ariel Lowen is. I wondered, would Paige rise to the occasion and compete with her down the stretch? And she did just that. It was a great way to watch her seize the moment there to finish up Big Cat.
Minute to go now as Shelby Neal looking to be the next woman across the finish line. She's got to complete this handstand walk as Paige Semenza has just finished round 4.
You know, I really like this event for Paige Semenza. I saw those box jumps and I was like, oh, she's fast, she's explosive. But it seems like that handstand walk has created a bit of an obstacle for her.
Shelby Neal is done, and Shelby Neal will get in inside that 9-minute time cap. 8:34.51 seconds. Kyra Milligan dragging her chest piece into the final box as Bethany Flores is coming across the finish line. Flores will have a couple seconds to spare as she gets in inside the 9-minute time cap. Now Elena Karatala and Colleen Freyova are in a foot race. Freyova trying to track down Karatala, just running out of real estate. And that's the time cap. So not sure if Freyova and Karatala were able to make it inside of that time, but Danielle Brandon had no problem. 6:52.39 seconds to set the time to beat heading into heat number 2.
And that is going to be a tough time to beat, even for the women that are coming out in this second heat, because she stayed on the gas pedal the entire time. We talked about you needing to be accurate. Well, she did that at every element. We talked about needing to jump and tuck, and she did that right out of the gate. She set a blistering pace even on the box jumps early, using her hands to descend in a very smart way to reduce the bounding, keep her heart rate low, and it didn't really matter for the handstand walking, honestly, for Danielle. She is so proficient upside down. Look at the things that she does well. Arms are completely locked out. She stays stacked. She bends her knees when she wants, and she said, give me more. I like more of that, to take Big Cat all the way for the top spot, and that's going to be a tough time to beat.
Danielle Brandon, 6:52.39 seconds, the only woman to go sub-7 as 5 women get inside